Gloria, are you with Adam? He hasn't got an audio yet.
He's not. He turned his volume up.
Adam, can you hear us?
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, I just seen the message.
All right. I'm in.
Can you hear us now?
Share, how do I turn the share screen?
Go to participants,
Adam.
I can hear you.
click on that, and then go to Uncle Dum Dum and go to more.
You just said no. I have the volume.
Make host. Yes.
Okay. So now you are the host. This is the, and then now at your host, you can share the screen or whatever. This looks the same.
Mhm.
Can you see that? What is he?
Yep.
Let me see if I can share this.
Top right.
Of his name, of Adam's name, of Uncle Dum Dum.
Top right. Okay, little blue.
Can you hear us? Testing. Testing.
This is just what this.
Oh, God bless.
Your volume on.
Adam,
Corner, little blue box with on off.
Now it says 100. Yeah.
All right.
well, this looks as though it's going to be fun, Chris.
Oh, there it is. Ha! I don't have to be Uncle Dum Dum anymore.
Use.
If you're the host, it'll be coming out of your computer there, right?
Yeah.
Your volume's on, it should work.
You're in there twice.
Hey, Simon, it's Clarice. Is
Hey,
it
well,
showing my name is Clarice?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, love.
But the problem is, it doesn't seem as though they can hear us.
Oh, oh,
Our image comes up, but they're not getting the volume
huh.
because I'm seeing it on the back. And if you look, when you talk, you see the image or your name pop up on their big screen.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Who's there? Who's there?
Any folks here? Raise your hand or wave at us or something if you can hear us.
So somebody can hear you.
Yeah, somebody was waving, so somebody can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear the gentleman talking right now.
Yeah, but again, they can't hear us.
Oh, they can hear us.
They can't hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, I just want to make sure I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay. I can't see them. You may want to pay attention to the chats.
Okay. let's see that.
Hey, Adam, can you hear us?
No, we can't hear you.
Okay, that's
know
going to be a
what-
problem.
It should be if you're at a house, it should be coming off your computer.
Anybody else in here really good at computers?
It says we can hear you. Somebody said we can hear you. That's just you.
We can hear them, but they cannot hear us.
Yeah, they can hear us.
All right.
I can't hear, and that's the problem. I can't hear. It looks like there's a handful of people online on the Zoom call.
But they can hear us.
Can you hear me?
Well, they may have themselves. No. You can also.
Let me see what's going on.
Hey, can y'all hear Simon?
I can see the chat. So somebody asked a question.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking at the time, at that point. Maybe they'll
Oh.
see this.
Sorry.
Is Simon the English, it's English voice with the English accent?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. I'm Victor Bashara, the owner and developer. So I can hear you, but I'm not at the meeting either. I'm doing it on
Yeah,
Zoom.
but we can hear them, but they can't hear anything that we say, which is a problem.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Let me see. Well, let's see. Let me call Adam and see if he can just put his phone on speakerphone.
Yeah,
But
because when we were talking, you could actually see our names pop up on the screen behind them. So it's getting through to them. It's just not the audio. So either they've muted they've just muted their system somehow.
We need to make sure.
Right, I think that must be the case. Let me, I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna call Adam on his cell phone. Because I have his cell phone number
This is
and I'll jump back on. Hold on 1 second.
If they want to ask a question, you can have them type it in the chat. Yeah, otherwise we're just gonna hear clutter.
nobody. Can we leave start? No.
Let me see if
Cannot.
we can move the chat. There we go. There we go.
Huh?
I got the chat over here. now.
Yeah, but
That's what I wanted.
no one
Okay,
can
sorry,
talk.
We're trying to make everything accessible to everyone as possible, having in person and everything on Zoom too, so that everybody has an opportunity. And we're still kind of neophytes in Zoom, so. Group here, because I know any of you have emailed with the questions and concerns.
Yeah, we'll be able, they can type the chat.
Talk directly to the person that will answer those questions and hear what you have to say, because I know he wants to be.
Did you
So
move
this is
that?
the best
No.
opportunity
I haven't touched
to be
anything.
like this, as opposed to.
Nobody.
They can hear us. That's what they
Which
said.
doesn't necessarily get the person it needs to. So I appreciate you all showing up. If, make sure and give me your email address if you want to be on my mailing list. That is actually the best way to get information. Because like any meeting, whatever, I
That's
will
right.
not only have sent out to the number that contributes to the meeting, but I will make sure to email it to everybody on my email. Definitely get information that, whatever and everything that's happening in the village that I know about. Also, if any of you are members of organizations. Let me know, and I'll make sure to blast it out in my newsletter. Give me, notice, don't expect me on Monday to. Give me a week or two notice. Information out to having a food drive or whatever it is. There's a fun Halloween night in your neighborhood. Let me know if you want other folks to know about it. I'll send it out. The best way to reach me is I get an email, which is Gloria, Gloria, Hauser, HAUSSER @nashville.gov. And I do have some cards on the table as well.
Hey, Gloria, can you hear us?
If any of you have not yet applied, but you think you might be
Gloria.
eligible for the tax-free.
Gloria.
or the tax relief, there are
Gloria.
brochures on the table. I'll briefly take what that means, and I'm going to turn it over to our mayor low dollar amount. I think it's like 45,900 or something like that household income. If your income is that or less, the brochure has the exact number on it. You would qualify for the tax rate, which means your taxes are not. And the brochure is put together. If your income is that or less, for all that is made is on the deed, you would qualify for the. Tax relief, because the actual taxes will be paid for by the city. Right from there, if it doesn't apply to you, if you don't budget it, my fingers are okay? And now,
So, Patty,
yourself and go from there.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Sorry if there was technical difficulties. Y'all see the screen up here okay? Everybody okay? And I'm not good at talking through a mask. Does anybody, is it okay if I take it off and I stay away? Okay, thank you so much. And I think maybe they can hear me better on there. My name is Adam Seger, S-E-G-E-R. I work with Dale and Associates here in Nashville. We are a civil engineering and land planning firm. So we aren't the developers. I'd like to preface that before you throw your tomatoes at me. But we are kind of an in-between for hire group. I'm a civil engineer is who I am. And we do developments all around town. And we work with the council. We work with planning commission. We work with Metro staff. That's planning, stormwater, public works, water, sewer, all the departments of Metro. We work with neighbors. We work for private developers. We work for companies. So we're kind of in a position where we're in the middle of everything. And so they ask us to come present at these types of items or these facilities because we kind of have a good working knowledge of everything and how all this stuff works. And so that's who I am. If you want to ask any questions later on, you need anything after this, I'll tell you now and I'll tell you again later. I've got a few cards. My email address is adam@daleandassociates.net, and that's all spelled out, adam@DALEAND associates.net. We've been around for about 40 years. We've been around for a long time. We do a lot of site development design. So if you have questions on traffic and stormwater and things like that, that's our bread and butter. We do a lot of land entitlement zoning stuff as well. So that's why we're here tonight, is to talk about the zoning. And to let you all know where we're at, we held a community meeting back in July, and with everybody here, either more word got out or something didn't happen back in July, or maybe people were just not caring as much in July. I don't know. We did hold a previous community meeting on this project that wasn't very well attended. I think we had less than a handful of people. Yeah, just a few people. And so I'm glad you all came out. It shows interest in your community and what's going on around you. The project we're talking about, I've just called it 7456 Charlotte Pike because that helps me remember the address. It's really 3 parcels of land, and it's right on Charlotte Pike, and then at this kind of angular cross section of Sawyer Brown. And I think I'm gonna go down. There it is. So what I'm gonna do is walk through the project, what we're doing, what the process is that we're going through, and then we'll hold some Q&A at the end. So the project, here's Charlotte Pike, and then here's Sawyer Brown at that acute angle there. This is Traymore Village. This is West Chase. Did I say that right? West Chase right here on our left. And then we're bounded by another skinny property here, and then Oak Haven's on the north side. So it's these three properties right here. Those are the addresses. It's about 12 acres all total, plus or minus. And here's the aerial. So if people have questions, we can come back to this slide if you have questions about where we're at and scale and proximity. A little bit of the project information. Right now, the zoning of this land is R15 and R40, so it allows for residential uses. 15 means 15,000 square foot lots, 40 means 40,000 square foot lots. The existing policy I'm going to talk about SP and policy. And that's what we're zoning it for, is SP is what we're asking. How many of in here have heard of SP zoning? Good, about half of you. So I'm going to walk through. I apologize if I'm being a little redundant in your knowledge, but anytime we look at land, the first thing we look at is the policy. Metro years ago through Nashville Next went through and they put every single property in Davidson County under some policy. If we were to develop everything, what's the character of this area? What does this develop like? So that if a development comes in and asks for a rezoning, it's a guideline that tells our planning staff, okay, here's what this should rezone to, okay? So what we're in is T3 neighborhood evolving. That, to give you a kind of a comparison, there's also what's called T3 neighborhood maintenance. Maintenance would be an area where everything is already all developed and everything just needs to maintain what's already there. That's maintenance. Evolving is that a lot of properties haven't really developed yet. Yes, there's some subdivisions, yes, there's townhomes, yes, there's commercial, it hasn't all developed yet, so it's still evolving. And we're still kind of finding our way. So under the evolving policy, it allows for a mixture of densities, allows for a mixture of housing types, allows for a mixture of all of these things. And so on day one, what we try to do is match what planning has already predetermined that this property is, a neighborhood evolving policy. And so when we look at this property, we came into it and we said, hey, we're aware that, I don't know all the names, but we are aware a developer, I think maybe Beezer tried to take it through a year or two ago or however long it was. And we knew that there was, yeah, maybe 2 properties. And we're aware it was controversial. And hey, we don't want to come in front of a bunch of neighbors and misinform them. And I don't want to go to planning commission or council and have you guys all show up with matching t-shirts and screaming at me. And so what we want to do is find something that hopefully works for not just y'all, but for Metro, for the neighbors, for public works, for people who are traveling through here, all of the above. So when we zone a property, guys, we all live in Nashville. There's people continue to move through here. They need a place to live, work, shop, however you feel about it. They keep coming. There's certain things that we can't control, okay? How I like to do it to just help people understand is like, if you guys weren't so darn awesome, people wouldn't want to move here. But our goal in this project is to try to find something that would be palatable. The SP zoning, I've called it to a few different clients, is like the great compromise of zonings. People call it spot zoning. It stands for specific plan. The specific plan is a much more rigorous process for us to go through. It's much more expensive. It's much more challenging. The reason is because we at Dale & Associates, we want to make sure we get community input. Then it has to go to all the departments at Nashville, which is stormwater, water sewer, public works, planning, fire marshal, all of the folks. It goes through them. It goes to planning commission. Planning commission makes a recommendation on if they agree with the project or if they don't, and then it goes to council, council member Hauser, and it's in her district. So then she will sponsor the bill if it moves forward. Sponsoring the bill doesn't always mean that it's wonderful and everybody loves it. Sponsoring a bill just means, hey, this bill is in my district, and that's just all it means. and then it goes to the floor, and it goes through 3 readings at council. The first one's an introductory reading, the second one is a public hearing, and then the third one is more of a memorialization of it all. So there's 2 public hearings in that process. There's planning commission, and then there's city council. Those are both public hearings. If y'all wish to come out and speak for or against, okay? What I do at these neighborhood meetings is really just try to inform you what we're doing, why we're doing it, provide you some hopefully unbiased or, I work for the developer, so maybe slightly biased, but honest answers about what we're doing. So the one thing when we saw this property, we started brainstorming, we said, if this develops on a long enough timeline, Metro treats things like it's all going to develop. Now, with the exception of maybe floodway, floodplain, and hilltops, that's probably true the way it's going. And so we want to do what people call smart development. We want to make sure it's balanced and fair and equitable for everybody. And so this property, you guys like it or not, is on Charlotte Pike, which lends itself to a higher dense product. That's exactly what planning and all the planners do, is you start at the major corridors and you start with a denser product, typically commercial, like what we're all in. We're right here on Highway 70 South, close to the interstate, and then you take a step away and then it'll become apartments, townhomes, multifamily, office, things like that. You step back from that another street or 2, it then turns into slightly more dense subdivisions, and then you get further out, subdivisions, rural, and all of that. And you can see all of that through planning practices. Yeah.
Charlotte Pike is a very long road. You can't just say, oh, Charlotte Pike is a major artery. It is a 2-lane rural road.
With no turn.
No turn.
I understand, and ma'am, and
Very private. There's several schools right off of it.
No stage plan.
churches, that's right.
It's
And
not the same as Charlotte Pike down by National West.
I understand.
They are building thousands of apartments. I mean, there are a million apartments. We don't need more housing. There's 1,000 apartments.
And will become smooth this last
And they are all going to be traveling on the
So we
road.
don't need you to repeat the same thing. Last year, Peter only. You think the glory will let you go up?
Oh, and you know, the water pressure down terrible.
I hear you guys. If we can, please, can I finish and then we can have all question and answer? I ask you, please. Yes, please. May I get through this, please?
No, you need to wait a second.
Maybe all the time.
Wait,
We don't need to hear that anymore.
wait,
We know that.
wait a second. You people act like we're ignorant assholes. Because the reason I say that, I'm sorry for the language, but I have to get your attention. And you're the second, you might not be a developer, you're the second person who's come to these meetings. I was not at all aware that there was a July meeting. I tell you, I would have been here.
Nobody was aware.
But let me say something. I made a comment at the last meeting, your predecessor, I was very stern with, in the library. You act like none of us have traveled. My in-laws live in Chicago, and I know you've probably been to Chicago. I spent a lot of my life in Chicago. If you go to Chicago, you can travel. By the way, FYI, is a much larger metropolitan city than Nashville. You get it off the interstate. You travel for miles, miles, and miles. You get immediately off the interstate. It is subdivision, subdivision, subdivision. You don't see a single, according to your logic, you just stated, the main artery, you get apartments, you get smart subdivisions. That is not what you see in other cities. You're trying to make us believe that's what we have to have in Nashville. That's the standard.
That's not what I'm
That's
doing at all,
exactly
sir.
what you just tried to tell us.
No, what I said is planning is that's how they do that with the policy. That's what we are getting. That's not me.
That's not the way it has to be.
That's fine.
And
And
we
we don't.
only spent the last year attend the movie for the same thing.
This isn't the same thing. I haven't even shown you the plan.
Density, you're
You're
adding a
increasing.
third of the density. We've already been there and done that.
And
The answer is no.
okay, can I please
No,
finish?
sir.
No, because you're not going to come here and make an easy ride. It's going to be very difficult for you and Gloria. Very difficult.
Okay.
Nothing you can say that would make us want.
That's okay. Thank you. Thank you for your feedback. So the plan is this: 61 multifamily residential units. Now, I hear what you're saying. I am not saying it has to be that way. That is how the planners do the policies. Okay. It was Nashville Next. Rick Bernhardt was the planning director at the time. There's probably about 20 to 30 people on staff. It was about a 2-year process, 2-3-year process with community involvement across the Davidson County.
So the planning commission you're describing?
No, the planning commission is a body appointed by the mayor. Then the Nashville Next is the program that instituted all of these policies.
And the National Next is online.
And Nashville Next is online.
And what jurisdiction do they have?
That it's Davidson County, they assign it. But here's the selling point that I want to bring to you guys. I was not treating any of you all ignorant. I'm simply a guy trying to explain to you the process and what's going on so that it's an informed decision. Now, we are not coming to you with the exact same plan Beezer has, okay? It's worse. Thank you. You may not like it. That's fine.
And
The
Beezer's-
difference is
Beezer's was doing this part of the property.
Beezer's was the front part.
Yeah, this part.
And so on the density scale, it's a little bit less than because we expanded and bought the bigger property to the north.
But that is.
And then what
that is
the big,
worse, because that is too close to open pavement.
so what we're proposing to do is that on his own dime and on the own property, we would realign Sawyer Brown. That's the biggest sales pitch I have. That's the ace in the hole. So if you don't want that, Sawyer Brown is an intersection that is acute, and we have talked to the fire marshal. We've talked to the fire marshal. We've talked to Public Works. We've spoken to several people, and they said, yes, please make this a better intersection. It's dangerous because of the acute angle, and there's no turn lane. So we would come along and put a turn lane across all of Charlotte Pike, realign Sawyer Brown Road, and
Oh my goodness.
Arrow.
No, I want the width.
So I would say pavement or right away.
Drivable, because there's no shoulder on the
Correct.
right side, and there's homes on the left side. So what is
Yeah, so the pavement today, I haven't measured it, but I would say it's probably 20, 22 feet wide.
No, it's 16 to 17. feet.
So, okay, very narrow.
What is the proposed 50 feet of rework road width?
From up here, the pavement width along there would be 27 feet wide.
But you're gonna leave the rest of Sawyer Brown untouched, because that's not.
Correct. We don't have,
It is now, yeah.
so this right here is an improvement over the intersection. It is. I mean, it's got an acute angle, it's unsafe, and people talk about it all the time. We can't build this intersection with 40 homes, okay? It's just not economically feasible. So in order to do this, this roadway work is very expensive. Metro will not improve that road. It's a Metro road. It's not a TDOT road. Get state funding for it. So this, how Metro is set up, love it or hate it, is that the developers are the institution that pays for roads and road improvements. Now, within certain reason, Old Hickory Boulevard, well, that's a TDOT road too. There are some major roads that Metro does have capital funding for, and they will do improvements, okay? But things like this will not happen without the property being developed. So if this intersection is to be realigned, your best chance is to have the property developed so that the intersection can be realigned and put into a safer intersection and widen Sawyer Brown Road. The chances of Sawyer Brown widening or realigning without a development are very, 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 very slim.
One quick question.
Yeah.
If you do that realignment, how long would it take? And would access to Charlotte Pike from the rest of the sector be blocked during that period?
Yeah, great question. Now, this is still in the zoning. We need to get a survey. We'd have to do a lot of things. but this portion could remain open. And so this would be built first. There would be a turnover at some point on there in construction where there might be a single lane or a detour or something. So that's not something I can answer at this stage. Then, and I see your hands up. I'm gonna come to you guys next, you, and then I'm gonna finish up, and then we'll just go straight to question and answer. This is on 730 OHB. This is the same developer. These are what he built right around the corner from this property. If you go right down Charlotte, turn left or turn north on Old Hickory, this is the same product that he built right there. So that's the style of what he's doing. This is another project. It's more urban, so it won't be exactly like this. These are just a couple character images. A lot of times people like to see kind of what a developer has built previously. So these are two projects that he has built previously, that one and that one. And I'll go back to the land plan. This one here would be front loaded garages. So let me explain this too. There would be no access onto Charlotte. I took the previous plan that Beazer had and I pulled it back and left the existing vegetation. The Public Works and Fire Marshal asked us to cut through and connect to Wheatfield because more points of connection are a safe thing for ambulances and fire trucks. And I know neighbors hate that. So as another piece of what we're trying to do is push back on Metro to not make that connection, because I'm just guessing that if you lived up in this subdivision, you don't want that connection. So we severed it and pulled it back off of there, and we put a wall here and to leave the existing vegetation. These would all be detached units, and we plan on putting a healthy landscape buffer along Charlotte Pike. There would be sidewalk built along Charlotte and a turn lane installed along Charlotte as well. Yes, sidewalks on Sawyer Brown. Yes, sidewalks on Sawyer Brown as well, up through here.
All right, you said
So-
tax units. I want to know something about what you're saying here. You're saying 62 units, am I correct about that?
61.
61, but you're saying 61 multi-family units, correct?
61 units, which as processed by some departments is multifamily, others is single family.
right,
It's
don't-
all
don't
single
double
family
talk,
sold.
don't double talk.
I'm not
It is
done.
multi-family, correct? So that means how many? One family to each unit or three families?
One. They're single
One in
family
each
units.
building?
Yes,
So you're talking about 61 buildings, and so you're talking about 61 families. All right, and no more families than that.
correct.
Then why do you call it multifamily?
Because
I've been
there's
around
more,
40 years, I've used this language every day.
there is more than one family on the property. This is one development with 61 houses on it. That's more than one. It's multi-family development. That's how planning refers to this. Each one of these is for sale to an individual family.
And is your lot line?
Zero lot line is a misleading term. That's only if you subdivide property.
The ones on Charlotte are separate.
These are all separated. They're 10 feet apart. They have rear loaded garages. These are, we tucked up the hillside up in the woods, so it's not right on Charlotte. We put the townhomes up here. The reason why we put the townhomes up there is to be respective of natural resources, so that if we spread it all out, it would start to tear up more land. So we cluster those tighter so that we disturb less and grade less. And that's why that's laid out that way. And then let's keep going. You had your hand up next, then I'm gonna come back.
So they're talking about
Simon, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We all know the position of area. It's really expensive to provide sources for people to know if permanent homeowners. Major group. I drive on it every day. The problem is it's not the neighbors that there now, it's that that's to offset the traffic that's created. Right there, ever growing traffic. Shoulder is either the road has erosion problems. Even with a small project, I would have hesitated the road. Gravel and things out of there. The roads are restricted for overweight and oversized people. Nobody adheres to that. We're in a hurry to go to that. Other problem with littering and trash along that road that you can touch through. I've literally walked around and picked up trash. Leaders, finding right there. So not only do we have drivers from Russia distracted, we have computer drivers. So even more people talk about 60 minutes, car garages, 120 plus parking spaces. All of those people, because the Charlotte Pike is huge traffic area, they're all going to that entire roads. The last traffic study that was done during the time of the bridge. Slightly cracks one little problem, but I'm not sure that that's a solution. Developers not concerned with sure.
How many of you would rather have it on Charlotte? We can do that. What we heard back from last time was that there was people being very loud about not having it on Charlotte. So we can change that, but let me address a few of these. And if you would, please, I hear you, ma'am, and thank you for your comments, but out of respect for everyone, if we could just have one or two questions. I know you threw a lot out there. How many people lived here in 1965? You guys get to say so. Everybody else. No, what I mean by that is, I think it's unfair to say that the people moving here are going to be transient or whatever. They're going to be paying more taxes per acre than what y'all are. There will be more taxes from this development than what all the other subdivisions around here will be. And these are going to be single family homes that are probably going to be priced in the 300s or more. I mean, I think it's a little unfair to say transient storm drains, construction, things like that. I hear you, it's temporary, all of that. But as far as trash, the existing Sawyer Brown, if nothing gets done, it's just going to keep happening. I mean, that's not something we're bringing to the table. We're here to help fix those things, not exacerbate them. The traffic isn't going to change of what's already there, except for what comes out of here.
Yeah.
It comes out. You said, to be fair, you said it was a lot of cut through. These people aren't coming from up here. The cut through traffic is still there. The studies are going to show that everybody's going to want to come out onto Charlotte. And if the intersection is better, it's better aligned for safe vehicular traffic. So that's not my opinion. That's traffic engineers and public works, and they, like fire department, they talk about these bad intersections. This is an opportunity to better that.
Is there gonna be a light there?
We can do a traffic warrant analysis, but it has to be warranted. That's not something that's up to you or me or this body. That has to be warranted and then to TDOT. And then I told him, did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, you partly answered it already. And I'm happy to see that there's not going to be an entrance on the west Chase or west of the Wheatfield. But is there any changes going to be to that entrance, to that development?
But to Wheatfield?
Yeah.
No, we wouldn't. That's not our property. We can't touch
Well,
that.
I'm asking it because you said that you're fought against moving that road out to there. Which we agree with, because at this time already, during high traffic times, to get out of that development is very, very difficult.
To take a left out of there?
An average of 120 is split around more vehicles onto that road. Even with the turning lane, I'm really concerned about the amount of traffic that will be on Charlotte.
Second question is, I don't know if you can answer this or if it's going to be the builder, but you're saying single family homes for sale. I think this probably puts you more to an HOA, but we don't want a bunch of renters in there. We already have it.
We can write around the SP.
Yeah, so-
No short-term rental.
How many of you want rentals?
Everybody has to have.
Zero, right?
For whatever we do in SP, you do.
It'll be zero. So okay, and to address that, the SP gang is, like I said, the great compromise type of thinking, where the SP, what's different about it than all the other zones, is that if we bake into the SP, we put in writing, there will be no rentals. It gets signed into law and there can be no rentals. Now, there actually is some legal jargon that has to be processed through there. So it's not as easy as just saying you can't have rentals. But our client is that he couldn't be here. He got stuck because he was trying to fly Southwest. And so he couldn't be here, but he said to relay to you guys that he is willing to commit to not have any of these be rentals. They will all be for sale. And then, yes, sir.
Okay. We talk about realigning the street, which is wonderful. The problem is you're dumping just at 61 units, just assuming one car is moved per day. That's 120 movements per day in and out onto Charlotte Pike, which is already a problem getting in and out. You're not going to put a stoplight in there. That's a multi-year project to get TDOT or the feds, because that's actually a federal highway, to approve. So that ain't going to happen. How are you able to drop a turn lane in there? Yeah,
Turn lane where? On Charlotte or on Charlotte?
How can you put a turn lane in there without it's going to take a while to get that approved?
No, that comes out of ours.
No, not, I'm talking turn lane on Charlotte Pike into Sawyer Brown. That's what you're talking
Yeah, we're
about.
talking about putting a left turn lane. And so from here up through there, this property dedicates right of way. You give it to the state or the city, okay? And when that happens, we have to install what's called the major collector street plan. I'm not going to go into all that unless you really want to hear it. And there's going to be sidewalk, curb and gutter built out to the full potential of that road, in which case pavement would be widened, and then that part gets restriped with this development before you can move in. So that turn lane will be in existence before you can move into a house there. up through the property frontage, which is what we have control over. So we own, oh, let me go back. We own the property frontage. The people that own, the owners own. What we have control over is from right here up to Charlotte Pike. Okay, that is all we can control. Furthermore, this is atypical of this development. This is atypical, guys, we do projects all around. It is not normal for a client to come and say, okay, I am going to donate, gets 0 return, property right here that will amount to probably, I haven't measured it, so please don't write this down. Half acre of land, of valuable land. They're going to then spend hundreds of thousands of dollars of building a road in there. And the result is, in order for him to pay for it, he has to be able to get a lot yield, a unit yield, in order to offset that. It's hopefully a win-win. What I'm hearing is you guys are like, oh, hell no. But I would ask you this, with all the problems you experience out here with trash, liquor bottles in an intersection and cut through and everything else, it's really kind of, do you want it to stay exactly as is at, I don't know, 10 more houses? No, let's see, it's 12 acres, 15. So the density allowed on this property would be.
You're not really capable of
12? No, it's zoned R.
22.
19. Perfect. All right, let's just call it 20. So we can have 20 houses on here with 20 driveways.
That's what a neighborhood, that's what we all have.
Okay, 20 houses with 20 driveways. The traffic isn't going to be hill of beans or different, and there will be no improvements. I mean, that's kind of what the vote comes down, because that's what we're here to offer. Like, hey guys, we're coming to you because we're respectful of your community, but we want to make sure that these are educated decisions. And I have a client who's willing to spend a lot of money and donate. He's willing to realign Sawyer Brown. And if what you guys are saying is, I don't care, then.
We don't want the density. They have to add that additional access to get equipment. They cannot get equipment. So they say they're doing it for us, but they're doing it so they can.
What equipment? I'm confused.
The heavy equipment they're gonna need to build this whole.
No, we would just come right off of Charlotte with a construction access. Yeah, I mean, that's where it would come in. You can't pull into Sawyer Brown.
Okay, so there is going to be a construction.
Yeah, there would have to be. How else would you build it?
I don't see it.
Well, I mean, this is what the end product is. If you're going to build this, you would access off of Charlotte Pike and you build a gravel construction entrance and you swing in that way.
Can you speak to last day or any like this? Because obviously, okay, there's a line that's
Vulcan's. Yeah, it's like up there.
And what kind of construction?
I can't guarantee it, but let's be honest, it's probably going to happen if this site develops.
And Adam, going to your, I don't think your name, sorry, going to your comment about the plastic, these are the previous developer at the library, I think it was about 2 years ago. They were using scare tactics to kind of get us to go along with their high density plan on this side of the power line. They want all the units there, bunch them together, telling us that the reason they were compacting everything there and close together was that if they went up into the trees like we have there, they would have to blast. They're trying to scare everyone with scare tactics, and then everyone was taken out of it with that. So you're saying that what you're not saying is that you probably will have a blast. These are already sitting with homes.
Ultimately, it's going to ruin all of our houses all around it west. We already have cracks, probably at least 50% of us get cracks, driveways, concrete houses. It's a mess. And nothing against you. Thank you for being here and informing us of this. We have all been through this.
The reality is, this is not going to get approved. The current zoning, I think we're all in support of building. We're not against the building. The current zoning, I think we all are in support of. But this SP and this, I don't think you're going to get any support.
And everybody needs to be aware that he needs our council person support to keep this thing passed through the SB process. So whether you're for or against it, let a council person also know.
It was a question on last time for 40 units. This time 61, I think it will hear everybody.
Yeah, but it's across more property. It's different. 40 units across 5 acres is different than 61 across.
So
12.
last time it was three lots. Last time it was
Do
three
what?
lots.
They still have to go out onto the road.
So
That doesn't matter about the density of how many buildings are on a specific plot of land. They still need to enter onto the road to get to where they're going. And the lot traffic on Charlotte already, and the little, just like she's saying, a little bit of land on the road there, Sawyer Brown, there's so much more of that road that is not being, it's not being improved, so.
And nor will it.
That's
And guys, I'm not here to like sugarcoat or sell you. I'm just here to tell you that you have an opportunity for, and look, if you guys all come out with matching t-shirts and pitchforks, I know Gloria's not going to support it. Like, you guys have the power, so to speak, right? So what I'm saying is that the education is that, look, if you have an opportunity, because there is a lot of people in the community who really do care about safe intersections, safe roads, and you have an opportunity here to improve it. And if it doesn't, if this corner doesn't develop, it will never happen.
So I'd like to say one thing to Gloria, real quick. I got to know your predecessor pretty well in this whole previous issue with Beezer. Beezer, we really ran Beezer through the ringer. They actually never sent, we had several meetings with them in the library. They never sent the same representatives twice back to the same meeting. And those of you that were there, remember this, I see some of you, they never sent the same representatives to the same meeting. I don't know if you were there for those meetings or not, but it's come to my attention that you told some of your constituents that the job as our district council person has become more than you thought it would be, and you don't like the job. So, well, that's their statement. They publicly posted this. They have publicly stated online that you don't like the job. You told them this directly, so not my words.
Never, ever.
This is on the next door, so it's all, so I wouldn't see this. But, so my question to you is, you see, no one likes this. Are you going to represent the constituents or the private entities? If not, would you like to publicly resign or support us? It's your choice.
I am afraid to be bullied. I represent the people in my district. I always have, and you just know I have. I didn't like my job. What, you made that up?
They might be lying. I said that, they might be lying. I said, that's what they said. I didn't say that.
That's irrelevant.
I am doing more to make sure the word gets out. Typically, only the folks that live within a certain distance of a project even get notice that it's happening. I have posted it in my email, I posted it on Facebook, so anybody that is interested can show up at these meetings, not just a few to get a postcard in the mail. So I'm doing everything I can to get the information out.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Don't think that.
I'm going to come in next. You've been very patient. Go ahead.
Yes, so all I would say, I lived in Northern Virginia, in the late 90s, explosive growth on 2-lane roads. And the challenge here is the roads, period.
That's it.
You know, whether it's 20 or 60, that's, you know, that's a number that could change if needed. But I would tell you what I would do. I'd turn left out there and take Sawyer Brown and get back to the light, Old Hickory, because that's the access. Regardless, even if you put a light in and made it 5 lanes, it still is, when we see an accident on 40, I live in Thousand Oaks Estates, by the way, so, you know, the half mile west. I sit there to take my grandson to Gallup, because it backs up all the way up over the hill. Doesn't happen often, so that's kind of a, you know, that's a one-off, but the problem for anybody, for all of us, is simply roads are not adequate. So when you try to develop, no matter what, again, which actually, not a bad plan. It's not, nothing's perfect. You're up against, proverbial rocket apartments, because the roads here are just not bad.
And the closer you get to the road, they can ever widen, like start
it's-
around the other end.
Well, I'm gonna address that.
Just the other thing I would say is, and I know we have this whole strict delineation of what's TDOT, what's Metro, and the plan in and of itself for any parcel is not bad. But if it doesn't incorporate the bigger area, the infrastructure, it's not, it's really hard to
Why don't
solve.
y'all go to T-Dot?
Really,
Listen to y'all, y'all got
It's
the
just
money.
really hard to solve.
I do.
For all
Okay, the developers.
Guys, let me explain something about traffic. I'm here in Nashville, like I'm a neighbor, okay? Like I have been here for 15 years. I'm not originally from here. And we are all up against an infrastructure challenge because people keep moving here and we don't have, somebody back in 1960s and 70s didn't foresee that Nashville was going to have a gazillion people, right? And so that's whenever it was. So what happens is that I'm kind of in the weeds with Metro Public Works and stormwater and all of this. And it's not that we don't care or don't want to, it's that the cost to improve all that infrastructure is more than the city can bear. It's more than developers. Guys, believe it or not, developers don't have endless pockets. It's more than what the state can bear. Like, I don't think you guys can fathom the amount of cost it takes to like just make all the infrastructure better. So what happens is that how it's set up, developers do have more money than some other people because this project right here, fine, call me a liar or whatever. It's not that dense relative to what's going on in Nashville. It's not, guys. I'm doing developments all over. This will not have a hill of beans of difference in Charlotte Pike. It will have a turning movement difference. You're right. There will be some more cars. There will not be 120 come out at one time. That's not real. What's real is that there's 61 families. There's peak hour traffic. Some people leave at 7. Some people leave at 7:30. Some people leave at 8. Okay. And so this impact won't move the needle. Trust me, I work with a lot of traffic engineers. It won't move the needle. So this is an opportunity to fix one intersection of what we have control over. This cannot nor will it ever fix Nashville or all of the problems.
Can you have
So,
a traffic study for Sawyer Brown from the beginning at Charlotte to the end of Old Charlotte, which dead ends in a horrendous intersection, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So if the traffic study is required, they would go here and they would go here and they would go over to Old Hickory and they would go up Sawyer Brown and the traffic engineer goes and sits down with Metro Public Works and they do what's called a scoping study and they map out all the intersections that will be affected by the development plus future growth.
Are you familiar with the 2019 traffic impact study of Charlotte Pike that concluded Charlotte Pike should be widened to include a 3-lane cross section for approximately 1,000 feet from Wheatfield Way to West Tremor Village all the way down. This improvement will include eastbound left turn storage for motorists entering the project site. That's when the project site was going from Charlotte into Weezers. In addition, adequate right-of-way should be reserved along the frontage of the project site in order to facilitate the ultimate cross-section identified by Charlotte Pike by Metro Public Works. So they're saying widen it, put us internally all the way down. So what's changed? Why are you able to build a development without addressing the Charlotte Pike?
No, we are doing all of those.
You're going to do it, okay.
Yes.
Um,
We're doing the 3-lane cross section, 3-lane cross section all along Charlotte so there's 2 lanes with a middle turn lane.
Excellent.
And there will be sidewalk. Another thing Metro did on top of all the land planning, it's what's called the major collector street plan. Years ago, they went through and said, here's all our major roads. If everything's built out, here's how big the road's going to be. Because none of these roads were built. So on Charlotte, it already has a predetermined width of lanes, sidewalk, everything.
So you're following that, but are you going
Yes.
to do a traffic study on the Sawyer Brown Road from the beginning to the end? Is that the plan? You told
It
me
can be
all the way down.
requested, yes. So a traffic study is triggered at 75 units. And so we can do one, and if one is done, yes, it will almost certainly include this intersection all the way up to the next one.
So, and then, you know, the green arrow isn't there for very long, and that's why the traffic backs up so far. So you get people trying to turn left. Not this part of the
So-
all the way up, and nobody can get through. There's not a turn lane up there either. Go all the way to the other where you're at. Most of these people, most of them are probably going to send their children to that.
Yeah, the school, doesn't your company represent that other development next to that school as well?
Further
I don't know.
up, 1,000.
What's the name of it? We've got a lot of projects going on.
Near his property, what's your address, sir?
7601 Charlotte.
So just a little bit down further, the other young.
And see, that's another.
Yeah, I don't
thing, you
know.
The traffic backs up sometimes from that light at Sawyer Brown, all the way to Old Hickory. I have been on the other side of Old Hickory on Charlotte Pike, coming like at 5 o'clock. You can't even get through the intersection at Old Hickory because people are backed up from the light at Sawyer Brown.
And when you get off the freeway, you're almost halfway on the freeway trying to get back on.
And then the whole freeway thing, when there's an accident, everybody thinks Charlotte. It's like, one time it took me like an hour.
Yeah, well, that's her heart.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
I was talking about what John kind of brought up, that 36 units, you might not know about it, but it's just, half a mile down that they're wanting to build another 36 unit on Charlotte Pike. So just within a half a mile of each other, that's even more traffic on Charlotte with no turning lanes, no widening, no anything.
Let me make a comment on that, and guys, look, it's not my decision to approve, disapprove. I'm trying to hear it, bring it. We do projects all over Middle Tennessee, and what's happening, what you guys don't, it's like the catch-22. What you guys don't want, I mean, what you want is to be left alone and have no traffic. But it's a catch-22 is because people keep moving here, and unless there's big developments, there's not big pockets. So it's a catch-22 because that's how the system is set up.
I don't think that's
Bigger, it's not fair. I'm
No,
not saying it's
not
fair.
that you're saying we don't want any development at all.
No, but here, let me explain this. Because if you have developments that go in at 10 units a pop and 20 and 30, they aren't going to have the resources to make any improvements. And if they keep going in on the lower density zoning, they're going to come in, they're gonna not have to do a traffic study. They aren't gonna have a whole lot of impact, and therefore nothing gets done. And if that lines all of our streets, no improvements will ever get made. So the contradiction, whether we like it or not, is that if we want to improve traffic, we have to allow density in some larger developments to be able to help pay for intersection improvement, because intersections are where all the traffic funnels through. The 2-lane road, 3-lane road is not what's backing you up. It's intersection points all around the city that don't work. So like on the north side of Nashville, why is everything backed up on 65, that whole big Y next to River North? Go under Fern Avenue. It's like you're driving between 2 pillars there. You can't widen it. You have to widen the intersections and make them breathe and everything else. So I get it. You guys don't like it. You don't like whatever about it. But if we don't as a community start thinking about development in a different way, like people want to say smart development, well, sometimes smart development comes with density and improving an intersection so that we can do one thing right. We can't do it all, but one thing. So that's it's not a sales pitch, it's the truth.
You live in Indiana, you know that?
Okay, I think you're concerned about safety. Safety on the Sawyer Brown. And that is currently only 17 feet wide. Even 2 cars, and the other side is just no shoulder, just drop. And so then now you add that 1 car. I can see it on the screen.
And I'm glad you bring up, that's why we're doing this, is because we're doing what we can with what we have control over, which is this section will go from 16, 17 feet wide to 27 feet wide with sidewalks on both sides.
That is good, your, that's the section that you're addressing.
Yeah.
Our problem would be the residents all year round.
Yeah.
And until all of that property develops, it won't be improved.
That's not your concern. The residents all year round is too narrow for 2-lane traffic today.
Yes.
And this is going to increase traffic. It's already unsafe. It's already a hazard. It's not.
That's right.
Safety of what they're doing.
Have you driven the whole road?
And we Metro to address that section.
Like 6 months ago.
Yeah, that is the safety concern. Safety hazards, that's all.
Yeah, that's, guys, that's why we're doing this part, is because we recognize it's a safety concern. So we're doing what we can with what we have control over, which is to realign the road and widen. I mean, I can't do anything else about the rest of Sawyer Brown. It's out of all of our control.
To address the rest of that section, so the whole road is safe for our community. For people in this development, as well as the people that already do it. I'm begging you to do something about it.
Yeah, it's been, we asked her for a long time.
For the last 2 years.
What is the next step and what is the next meeting that we need to present to you and to Gloria?
Yeah, so here's why I wish all of you guys had somehow, something happened, and I don't know why you guys weren't there in July. Okay, thank you. But what we do is we make judgment calls whether or not it's worth it to move forward, okay? And so please email me. Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever it is, let us know, because what I don't want to do is waste my time. And the developer, we don't want to waste your time. I still believe that this is a good solution. And I know I'm coming into your guys' neighborhood, which is why I'm here presenting this, because I believe it is a good solution, because we do projects all around, and there's very few of them that offer this much road improvements. Like on 61 units, I don't see these road improvements until I get up to like 200 units. So I think you guys aren't everywhere, but I'm just telling you, it's a fair request of 61 units for this level of road improvements. It's very fair. And if it still doesn't make it through, let us know, because we don't want to waste our time either.
What other benefits are there to cramming this?
Well, you say cramming, but the people right to our right are way more, and Traymore is more dense than us. We did the project down here, the Cortland Bellevue Apartments. That's a gazillion times more dense than this. So it's not fair to say cramming. We've got single family units. This is 5 units to the acre, which is the same as just about an R8 to an R6 type of density. Okay. So this isn't an RM20 or an RM9, which you see not too far from here. So these are going to be single family homes with 2-car garages.
What is the benefit?
The benefit for the community?
Yes.
Because of the road is the main thing, but if this project doesn't go through, it'll develop someday. Maybe there's 20 houses here and they're single family houses, and no improvement ever happens to Sawyer Brown or the roadways.
But that's not the worst thing. The worst thing is that we have Jeff Bezos come back. That's the worst thing, is when we get back.
Jeff Bezos?
No, I'm sorry. Not Jeff Bezos.
Does he live here?
He's on my mind. That we have some of the other developers come who are not quite considerate, who have really lied to us, who have put, we are talking, we have fought tooth and nail, and they lied every single time. So what I'm struck with is that you're offering us something and saying this is the best. And if you don't get this, you might get little, but if we don't get this, we might get bigger.
If I would not be standing in front of you with 61 units and not this road improvement, I wouldn't. I would tell my client, like, I don't want to go get butchered for nothing. I mean,
Instead of us being them against us, why can't we all be against DDOT and just bail?
you guys we're all T-Dot. But it's,
We lived through all those apartments they built, and so many times
Well, to be fair, it'll be 3 lanes. I mean, as part of, if this goes through. Do what?
Are they gonna do the road before they do the?
The roads are done during construction because they will come and widen it. They can't disrupt the traffic flow, right? And so if you're asking about construction sequence, look, if it develops, you're gonna have construction traffic. That's just the way it is. Construction traffic is gonna come off of Charlotte. They'll have an entryway down here somewhere, wherever the most opportune place is. And this road will stay as is while all of this gets heavy graded. While the dozers and the equipment's on site, that's whenever they come out and they start cleaning up the edge. Usually do it a little bit later. Before you move in, like before that guy right there would move in, that roadway will be up to 3 lanes.
You kind of blew me off because we're not all T-Dog.
Do what?
You blew me off when I said that.
I meant like, it's just the public, it's the state. It's,
Well, yeah, but
and none of us are T-Dot. I don't think. Does anybody work for T-Dot?
Sir, can you just answer my question from a couple of times? So what is the next step? Sorry, it's 7 o'clock.
Yes, I'm sorry. So the next step is right now we've submitted to Metro. We've submitted. It was scheduled to go to Planning Commission on Thursday. That has since been deferred. Again, Planning Commission is the next meeting that gets held on this project. It is now deferred to the November meeting. It's going to be on a Thursday. They're always on a Thursday, probably right before Thanksgiving. So that is the very next thing that happens, is goes to Planning Commission. After Planning Commission, depending on what happens, it will then go to City Council. It's a recommendation, okay? So planning is not the final arbiter. Planning makes a recommendation. They make a recommendation to City Council to either approve or disapprove the project, all right? When it goes to City Council, if it gets recommended for approval, then it takes 21 votes? 21 votes to pass.
Unless, the only way you ever take more is if planning, does not support it.
That's right. If planning does not support it, then it goes to council as what's called a disapproved bill, and it takes 27 votes to approve. So it takes more votes to override it. But I can tell you this, that we're not dumb. We're not going to go all the way to council and get beat up the whole way. I mean, we're going to listen to Gloria. We listen to the neighbors. We listen to planning. My job is not here to sell you some crap. I stand by this project, and I will. And I think it's a good idea. And if you guys don't vote for it, well, then that's just the way it is. And I'd go on to the next one, okay? But if you guys would all voice everything you want to voice, then we can make a judgment call and it will go through. Nobody in here is ever going to like a project 100%, okay? That's just not going to happen. But we think we have a good project, and we'll try to bring it through. And if it doesn't make it. So that's the process. Does that help you?
okay, so last time, I tried.
Excuse me,
sorry.
there is a property note, a flood note on your plat.
Yes.
Okay, could you explain it to me? It says the property does not lie in the flood hazard area as depicted on the current flood insurance rate maps dated April 2003. So if it does not lie in a flood hazard area as depicted on FEMA's map, what changed? The note on your plat, it's.
Yeah, when you go to FEMA maps.
No, when I go to your plat, there's a flood note.
That's right.
It says, and I want you to explain that to me. It says the property does not lie in the flood hazard area as depicted on the current flood insurance rate maps dated April 5th. What does that note mean?
That means that when we start this project, we identify all known natural resources and encumbrances on the property.
Okay.
So we go to FEMA's website,
Right.
and they have all the maps of the entire country,
Right.
and we pull up that map,
Right.
and we see, is there floodplain on this property?
Okay.
And we say, no, there's not. So then we put the note to assure everybody that there is no floodplain on the property.
Okay, so whenever you do any land improvement, you build a house, put a driveway in, put garages in, it's gonna cause the runoff. The ground is not available for the ground to absorb that water.
Right.
What's gonna happen there? I know there's a couple of little, pools that you can collect it, you have culverts, what do you call it?
Yeah, so there's two ways to do that. We are actually going through a new reg change in Metro right now in stormwater. And the theory is groundwater infiltration. I'll try to go through this quick. Historically, we do groundwater retention, meaning we don't want to flood our neighbors downstream. So we hold back the water in a giant bathtub and we release it slowly in hopes that we don't flood anybody. That mindset is still there, but it's gone to another layer of groundwater infiltration. And the theory is that because we put rooftops and pavements on the ground, we increase surface runoff. So when it rains, now more water's coming off than what it did before. And so what we do is we do infiltration trenches, we do test pits, and we find out, do we have groundwater charging there? And we'll say, oh, yep, that's a good spot for groundwater to go in. And we do a bioretention pond around it. And then water, we direct all the storm water through inlets and curbs and gutters to go to that pond to drain down, okay? Now, the goal of that in this big calculation is so that the volume and peak flow of runoff coming off the site today is no different than what it, after the development is no different than what it was before.
Okay.
So that's the goal on all of that. And so.
Oh, that's fine. I just want to say that last time for 2 lots, one is R15, one is R40, one is 1.21 acre, one is 5.6 acre, total about 7 acres. For 10 single family house, we're okay with that because we like our neighborhood has similar houses style. Okay, we support you build single family house there. Maybe about this time you have 3, last time 2. 2 is build 10, so 3 you may build 13, something like that. Okay, so 13 is fine with us because they have same style, same design, similarity blended into our neighborhood. We are fine with that, but we're not fine with this high density or high gradient. That is our.
Okay, thank you.
Just to follow on what my wife had to say, you talked about your density study showing 4 and 10.5 units per acre. I suspect you did not count anything in Oak Trace in that calculation. You're calculating Tramer and West Chase in your calculation because it skews. There's certainly a less dense than 4 per acre up on Oak Trace where we live. I would guess it's probably about maybe 2.5 per acre.
Okay,
but
what's it zoned?
I don't know what the water zone is, but it's all single family.
Ours are something, R20,
R20 is one of them. Which would be, about a little over 2 per acre.
But this is the character for coming up Sawyer Brown Road that we'd like to see preserved. The other problem, you're going to have a very nice roadway that you can control. I understand that. But then you're going to throttle down to 16 or 17 feet that you can't control. And people, I'll tell you, as traffic, and there's another development that Dale is also working on right across the street at Old Hickory Boulevard in Charlotte. 57 units. There's more on 1 acre. There's more density coming. You're going to see more and more traffic. Instead of coming on Charlotte Pike, it's going to go to Old Charlotte. And that is a dangerous road. It's at most, again, 16, 17 feet wide. You go down a blind curve, across a bridge. It's a scary spot to go. And I've seen cars come flying back up the other way when I occasionally go out there to go north to Pleasant.
We're very familiar with Old Charlotte.
Yeah.
Project.
Well, that's not Old Charlotte, but where Sawyer Brown exits from our subdivision going north, very dangerous little stretch of road.
There are traffic stations right there where y'all talking about on Tennessee. There's also a traffic station down on Old Hickory Boulevard between Charlotte and I-40. And the last time I was able to check it, which has been probably a year ago, when traffic was obviously less because of the pandemic, 14,000 cars a day go between I-40 and Charlotte. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a ton.
So, sorry, are you off?
No.
Okay, Gloria, I'm sorry if I was misled by social media earlier. Adam, I see two things. The new road, I know you're very proud of changing Sawyer Brown and widening it and everything, but as someone who has spent a lot of time pulling a trailer in the past, there's a very big problem with widening Sawyer Brown and changing it, making it more accessible for people to pull onto the new wider portion of Sawyer Brown. And then all of a sudden, people with a larger landscape trailer or something get up there, and then oops, all of a sudden you have to funnel down to an old portion of Sawyer Brown that they might not be familiar with. And then they have oncoming traffic with a big, huge landscape trailer that's 8 feet wide, which is the legal limit. And you're taking up a very large portion of the road. And they came onto this nice wide portion of the road they thought they could go on. And then where, as it currently sits, they see the road as it sits, they say, oh, that's a very narrow road. I might go up to Charlotte and go around to River Road or something rather than take a shortcut. So that's a very big problem. Another thing I want to make is there was a CNBC article on the news last week that it's a current trend. There's someone that talking about rentals. I'm sure you're probably aware of this, but there's hedge funds that are buying up massive thousands of homes across the country. They go in with cash, and it's to buy the house. Sure, everyone's ready. So they go with cash, buy houses, and all these subdivisions. I don't know if you have units that are already sold before they're built or not. Buy them, and then they might flip them, make a profit, but what they usually do is they rent them. And so I've seen this happen before in my subdivision, but my next door neighbor is struggling to buy a house right now because she can't afford a house. She doesn't have $400,000 in cash. She's approved for a loan, but wants to sell her a house with a loan. She is approved for a loan cash. So that is a problem. So there's just two things I wanted to say.
One more comment as far as safety. And I'm looking at your drawing and also the other drawing that showed the emergency access. You know what a ladder truck for the fire department takes a 40 to 45 foot turning radius. That's, you know, particularly your emergency access. That's a non-starter.
Yeah, we can't design something that doesn't work. So we would have to work with the fire department on all their access points.
That's just, you know, one thought, because not to mention the fact we've got a very low hanging power line that would probably have to be relocated or raised that crosses on your side of the property.
Sure.
And, you know, even moving trucks coming up, we had our truck come up, they was stopped and they were wondering if they're gonna have to get a pole and raise it up so they can get their truck.
Yeah, but I mean, keep in mind, if that were to happen, all the electric can't touch TVA, but all the poles and everything is redone through that.
So what's the distance between Charlotte Pike to the homes? I know you're from-
From here,
No, from here, from Charlotte Pike and to the border of homes, how much difference is there?
scaling, well, right here's a 50 scale. It's about 100 feet.
Okay. The reason I was wondering is if at some point in time in the future, they need a wide, and they move this.
Oh yeah, see this notch out right here? Right, we have to dedicate a strip of land along here that gets reserved for TDOT if they ever widen. So they have plans for what Charlotte Pike will be 50 years from now. And whatever that is, whatever the number is, we have to dedicate to that amount.
So that is 40, it's a big,
Maybe the MCSP I think goes to 5.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate you so much.
capacity.
Because I do, the current school is using portable buildings for student code. We're gonna add 61 new households, it's gonna impact the schools around here. Per the public school review website, the current teacher ratio of our school, we have 637 pre-K to fourth graders. Teacher-student ratio is 17 kids to 1 teacher, which is higher than the Tennessee state level of 51. Teacher population of the whole school is only 37, and it has declined by 19% over the last 5 years. Belgium Middle School is the next school, and it serves 633 students in grade 5 through 8. Their teacher ratio is 19 to 1. Their teacher population is only 34 teachers, and it has declined 10% over the last 5 years. Hillwood was the beat to the new Belgium High School. They serve 1,102 students in grade 9 through 12. Their ratio is 18 to 1. They only have 60 teachers, and there's been a decline of 10% over the last 5 years. I say all that because there's more to roads. There's the infrastructure, there's our students, there's our education. It's going to impact it. So what is Metro's plan to improve the facilities and the teacher population for the students? All the apartments up and down Charlotte, not all the Boulevard, online. It's so just FYI.
I don't have to.
No, but if you would take it to the council
Yeah.
and say,
Well, and then also, Abigail Hyder
yeah,
is our school board representative for District 9, the district, or District 9. With Abigail Hyder, I always want to say Taylor, not Taylor, it's Hyder. She is, the school board member, and she will regularly have these.
well,
I
I just want to,
information about school board that they're not.
and I've got the information here. I just want you to be aware when you make
No,
a
and I
decision.
appreciate you doing that.
And next to Gower, that's where they were 57 units.
My mom's a school teacher, school teacher, and I can't believe that it's like 18 or 17 to 1 is considered like low or high right now. She had like 28.
Yeah, I was debating, I think that's 40 kids under.
She taught like the second grade.
Metro has a private school.
Yeah. So I can tell you this because I have friends who are elementary school teachers, and I'm not like doing some shameless plug for development and all of that, but you mentioned all the units there, and I've got another project. It's in Williamson County. We can make fun of Williamson County people for a minute. They almost said the word moratorium on multifamily, and what's happening in like my wife's is in the eye care world, and they can't find anybody to work. And teachers and police officers and all these people with workforce housing, they don't have places to work. And what we've done as a community, guys, we don't like it, but we say, hey, we want all single family homes. Let's not do density. And now we price a lot of people out that can't afford it. So look, I hear you guys, okay, but this isn't a perfect world. And but I care about that because I have 3 kids in elementary school, and yeah.
We have to be aware of it.
Sure.
Yes.
So the chapter was one and the not the police, fight,
Right now, Wisconsin is very low, as you know. And I should say low, it's more than it needs to, it should be. And, you know, again, this all goes to infrastructure and budget. But here you're loading more onto this whole system. And it's, makes your job pretty tough. I'll just say that.
Thank you all.
We have more teachers, we need more firefighters, all of it.
How long will these matches last?
A project like this, I don't know, 6 months maybe? 4 to 6 months.
No, start to finish 6 months.
The heavy construction, that's for site work. Then the buildings come after.
How
along Charlotte?
Well, we wouldn't be able to block intersections. There would be maybe temporarily at night type of turnover stuff. There's no way we can block. We could never block Charlotte. So what happens is you go in there and you widen out first, you grade and prep all the widening stuff so everything operates as it does today. And then at some point when they're ready to pave, they'll probably do it at night, and then they close down, they pave it, and then get off and then wait. And then they come back and then they stripe and do that kind of stuff. So it's a back and forth. The environmental considerations? Well, yeah, I mean, but
There's all kinds of wildlife up there.
yeah, but we are trying to preserve as much of the hillside as we can.
You're taking away a huge area. I mean, we get, you know, deer, fox, bobcat, all that kind of just wandering through our subdivision.
One of the reasons people want to move is
Sure.
So you're still supporting cutting out the hillside? That where you're at?
Coming up what?
You're cutting the hillside, you're beyond the power line?
Absolutely. We're coming up here. This is the nose of the hill on the spine. And this area right here, we already did preliminary grading, and that's the extent of the impact, which is pretty minimal relative to other developments. That's quite a bit of open space. If you consider your own development and you say, put it in terms of percentages, how much of those subdivisions were preserved as open space? I mean,
I'm sorry, folks, I just saw the time. Myself, exactly what you want to see in your ideas, so that I can have it all together. And some people that aren't here today, that hopefully will be, you know, online listening to it, so that they can email what it is you want to see, what plan you like, what plan you don't want. And that would be really helpful for me and Adam and trying to bring it something to that. Not only people that's why I had it deferred, so we could do this kind of
BT Enterprises has already bought one of the properties, correct?
Yes.
BT Enterprises has already purchased one of the properties.
They have.
Yes, yes, yes.
I know that. Okay, yeah, you're,
Yeah.
you know all that stuff.
Is it still the planning commission? It's overwhelmingly, it's rejected by your constituents.
Anything you do with the plan, stop.
They more likely will not.
But they won't necessarily pass it, so you can't say, keep buying this property, you can't propose something. That's freedom they don't have. But when it goes, they will evaluate it, usually internally, make their recommendations, or find the public, but there's just a funny community. And then all of your ideas also were submitted in letters, you show them the meeting.
Inevitably, though, it's going to require us.
So the only other kind of community that says, yes, find some here, work forward. But it's just like you say, whenever,
So your predecessor, Sherry Weiner, who was our council representative for several years, told Beazer before you went to planning commission, I don't know if you were you at the meetings with Beazer, or did you?
those meetings where the owner distributed those people were. So I wasn't in that.
She announced it publicly, so I didn't.
She said that she's not supporting.
She told Beazer she was not going, she announced publicly on her,
Oh, that's cool.
that she was not going to support the development before it went to planning. So Beazer didn't even present to planning. So they didn't even go to that step. She now saw next door, and she was the one to listen to. So you could.
She said, no, send us there after we came at this. She said, I'm not supporting that, so.
She didn't want, she didn't want everyone going to Metro Council, flying the council, all the vacancy and everything.
Well, somebody wants you have all power.
Adam just said, he said he's not going to be stupid, he literally just said that. He said he wanted to beat up, is what he said, right, Adam?
That's right.
That's right, that's what he said.
Well, I'm telling you,
You got your hand up?
But no, and I don't sponsor.
Adam, if she says, if the board tells you that she's not listening to it.
Yeah, I mean, we take a lot of things into consideration. Is it for Gloria? Gloria, she's had her hand up.
Gloria, I'm curious about the, it's supposed to go to the council tomorrow night. It's not even though they're gonna say.
I'm okay.
The one closer to us, 1,000 Up States and Woodland Forest, here in the one behind, remember Western Hills Church of Christ is? There's another, 18 miles back. At some point, we all need to kind of discuss about that too.
Right.
We all need to stick together.
October 27th.
Okay.
I haven't announced that right yet.
Okay.
Okay, so we're sending it there and then they will consolidate.
Right, yeah, and that way I
That's just,
give everybody a chance, not only those that are here, but those that are. Trey, we gotta get after it. The Saturday, not this coming Saturday, the Saturday after that is the regular community meeting that I have here at 10 o'clock. And we're having, you all want to be here because Bill Herbert, who is over codes, is coming here. We get talking about the daggone potholes we've all been upset about for so long. Codes will be here. I also have somebody from the NCHA who's going to be here on that Saturday. The other project, October 27th, is going to be here for the other one in Charlotte. So I'm trying to get the word out about everything, everybody. So please share it with people who may not be on social media, or may not have email, or whatever.
And if y'all think that up there where we are, that's not gonna affect y'all, you don't go that way, we're sadly mistaken. Because, yes.
All gonna be affected, all those that are alive.
So Gloria,
Yes, sir.
one real quick, I'm sorry, I am not trying to fool you in public or everyone, but let me be very clear. And Adam has stated publicly that if you do not support this, publicly, they will not go through the public meeting and Metro Council. Your predecessor has already set the precedent of what that happens with everyone here. And everyone here, I've talked to the gentleman here, he gives credibility to Project Green Hills here, that's how this project works. And so Adam's just stated that the last hour, that he was stating publicly. I believe Adam's a CEO. Adam's a CEO. But he's they're not. You don't report to them. You can say you're not going
Yeah, like I said, I just want everybody to make an educated decision.
Great job.
Yeah.
Thanks for the information.
Very well done. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Really do.
Thank you for coming out.
Tough job. That's why you make the big bucks, right?
I wish.
Okay, thank you. I will support you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you, sir. Wish we knew about the July meeting.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I
Yes, I take a tax bill over $7,000. I had city service. And so that's just not natural. It's unfortunate, but people, that's why I didn't even bother. Because I thought this could be a lot worse.
It's hard, and I understand people's angst. It's the best term for it all in Nashville is growing pains. That's exactly what we're experiencing. And that's the spillover from DC, right?
Yeah, I was 26 miles from Fairfax. And it took me over an hour to get to work. A lot of days, I just followed the traffic.
Yeah.
Because 66.
Thank you for coming.
66 is just parking. For this infrastructure. And we're tagged for fixing Northern Virginia Road in 2000.
Really.
So
Well, thank you for saying that.
I'm not.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What's it like when you're doing a rock and hard place?
Any more?